You are making a mistake right now, and I say that with love, not judgment. The mistake is this: you are rushing what God is still shaping. You are demanding answers while heaven is still preparing you. And if you don't listen carefully to what I'm about to say, you might miss the very blessing you've been praying for. Listen to me closely. I'm not here to waste your time, and I know you didn't click this video by accident. Something inside you feels restless. You've been asking, why is it taking so long? You've been watching other people move ahead while you feel stuck. And deep down, you're wondering if God forgot about you. I understand that feeling. I've been there too. I remember nights when I stared at the ceiling, asking God why nothing was changing, even though I was praying, trying, and believing. But here's what you need to hear, and you need to hear it all the way to the end. If you leave too early, you'll only get part of the truth, and partial truth leads to frustration. Stay with me. Let this message sink in, because it has the power to change how you see your life starting today. You think the delay is punishment. I'm telling you it's preparation. You think God is slow. I'm telling you He is precise. And once you understand this, once it clicks in your spirit, you will stop panicking and start trusting. Your peace will return. Your confidence will rise. And your faith will finally rest. I'm speaking directly to you. Yes, you. The one who feels behind. The one who feels unseen. The one who is tired of waiting. Open your heart, because what I'm about to share isn't motivational noise. This is a divine reminder you didn't know you needed. Now breathe. Focus. And let me show you why trusting God's timing will transform your life completely. But let me ask you something that might unsettle you. What if the delay you're frustrated with is actually proof that God is involved more deeply than you think? What if this moment, right now, is not about waiting longer, but about finally understanding what you've been waiting for? I need you to understand this first, because everything else depends on it. God's timing is never random. Not once. Not ever. When something hasn't happened yet, it's not because God forgot you, skipped you, or loves someone else more. I know that's what your mind tells you, but your mind doesn't see what God sees. You see the clock. God sees the full picture. I used to think delays meant denial. I used to believe that if something didn't happen fast, it meant I wasn't willing enough or faithful enough. But I learned the hard way that God doesn't operate on urgency. He operates on purpose. Every moment, every pause, every waiting season is intentional. You may feel ready, but God knows when you are truly prepared. And there's a difference. Trusting God's timing requires a kind of faith that goes beyond what you can prove or explain. It means believing, even when there's no visible evidence. It means standing firm when nothing around you confirms what God promised. And I know that's hard. I know it hurts to believe without seeing. I know it's frustrating to obey when results don't show up immediately. But that is where real faith is formed. Let me tell you something most people won't say. God often prepares your character before He delivers your promise. You're asking for the blessing, but God is working on the person who will carry it. Because if the blessing comes too early, it can crush you instead of elevate you. Think about it. If you receive something you're not ready to steward, it can destroy your peace, your discipline, even your faith. That's why waiting seasons are not wasted seasons. They are spiritual classrooms. This is where trust is tested. This is where obedience is refined. This is where you learn to walk with God, not just run to Him when you want something. Scripture tells us clearly that there is a time for everything under heaven. Not some things. Everything. That means your breakthrough has a time. Your healing has a time. Your elevation has a time. And that time is not controlled by pressure, comparison, or fear. It's controlled by God. And hear this deeply. God is never late. What looks slow to you is perfect in heaven. What feels delayed is actually being aligned. The promise will come, but it will come at the appointed moment, when it can bless you fully and not break you. So, if you're waiting right now, don't rush. Don't panic. Don't quit. God's timing isn't against you. It's working for you, even when you can't see it yet. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because once you understand that God's timing is intentional, you're forced to face this question: what is waiting actually doing inside you? And why does it feel like it's stretching you to your limit? Let me be honest with you, because I don't believe in sugarcoating truth. Waiting is uncomfortable. Waiting stretches you. Waiting exposes what you really trust. And that's exactly why God uses it. You think waiting is a weakness, but I've learned it's one of God's strongest tools. When everything comes quickly, you rely on momentum. But when things slow down, you rely on God. I've noticed this in my own life. When answers came fast, I barely prayed. I moved on autopilot. But when nothing happened, when doors stayed closed and silence filled the space where answers should have been, I had no choice but to lean fully on God. That's where my faith stopped being theory and started becoming real. Waiting strips away your illusions of control. It teaches you patience, not the passive kind where you sit and complain, but the active kind where you keep showing up, keep believing, and keep obeying even when your emotions scream otherwise. You learn humility in waiting. You realize you are not the architect of your life. God is. And let me tell you something important. Faith matures fastest when prayers aren't answered immediately. Anyone can trust God when results are instant. But trusting Him when nothing changes, that's where your faith grows muscles. That's where you stop needing constant reassurance and start walking with quiet confidence. Waiting also realigns your desires. At first, you want the blessing for comfort, status, or relief. But over time, God reshapes your heart. You start wanting alignment more than outcomes. You start wanting God's will more than your way. And that shift is powerful because it means you're no longer chasing blessings. You're chasing God. I've seen it happen. The things I once begged for, I later realized would have broken me. And the things I almost gave up on became testimonies that strengthened not only me, but others watching my life. Waiting renews your strength in ways you don't expect. You may feel tired on the outside, but something deeper is being rebuilt inside you. Scripture reminds us that those who wait on the Lord don't end up weaker. They rise. They see clearer. They move wiser. Waiting teaches you endurance, and endurance builds unshakable faith. So if you're in a waiting season right now, don't rush out of it. Don't numb it. Don't resent it. This is where your faith is being forged. And if waiting is strengthening your faith, then there's something else you can't ignore. There may be one thing you're still holding onto that God has been asking you to release. The moment you let go, everything begins to shift. Now let me touch the hardest part, because this is where most people struggle. Control. You want to manage outcomes. You want guarantees. You want timelines. And I get it. I like certainty too. But faith and control cannot coexist. One always cancels out the other. I learned this the painful way. The more I tried to force outcomes, the more anxious I became. I planned, overplanned, and panicked when things didn't follow my script. And every time, God gently showed me that my grip was the very thing blocking His word. When you surrender control, you're not giving up, you're opening up. You're allowing God to operate beyond your limited vision. Fear decreases when faith replaces self-reliance. Peace returns when you stop trying to play God and start trusting Him as God. Trust grows when you stop forcing doors and start listening for direction. You don't have to push what God has already prepared. If it's meant for you, it will open at the right time. And if it doesn't open, it's protection, not rejection. God's wisdom surpasses your planning. He sees consequences you can't predict and connections you can't imagine. When you trust Him fully, He doesn't just guide your steps, He redirects your heart. And that's where real transformation begins. When you lean on your own understanding, you carry the weight alone. But when you trust God with all your heart, He straightens paths you didn't even know were crooked. He works things together in ways that make sense only in hindsight. So let go. Release the pressure. Stop forcing what isn't flowing. God is working even when you're not in control. And once you truly surrender, you'll feel lighter, clearer, and more aligned than ever before. But surrender alone is not the whole story. Because while you think nothing is happening on the outside, something intense is happening within you. And if you could see what God is forming right now, you would stop asking when and start thanking Him already. Listen to me carefully, because this part will change how you see every struggle you're facing right now. You think God is holding something back from you. I used to think that too. But what if the truth is this? God is building you up so the blessing won't break you when it arrives. I've learned that God never rushes preparation. Never. He cares too much about you to give you something your soul can't sustain. You may be praying for elevation, but God is working on your foundation. You may be asking for expansion, but God is strengthening your roots. Because anything that rises without depth will eventually collapse. Before God releases a blessing, He almost always develops maturity. He works on your patience, your discipline, your humility, and your obedience. Why? Because blessing without character leads to pride. Favor without wisdom leads to destruction. And success without spiritual grounding leads to emptiness. I've seen it happen, and I've felt it myself. There were seasons when I begged God to move faster. I wanted answers. I wanted progress. I wanted results. But looking back now, I realize that if God had answered me when I wanted, I would have mishandled everything He gave me. My mindset wasn't ready. My habits weren't strong enough. My faith was still fragile. God knew that, even when I didn't. This is why trials come before breakthroughs. Trials are not there to crush you, they are there to condition you. They stretch your endurance. They expose your weaknesses. They force you to grow in ways comfort never could. Every test you pass adds strength to your spirit. Every hardship you survive builds capacity inside you. God also prepares you by removing distractions. This part hurts, and I know it does. Sometimes people leave. Sometimes plans fall apart. Sometimes doors close suddenly. And you wonder why everything feels like it's being stripped away. But what if God is simplifying your life so you can focus on what truly matters? What if He's clearing space so the blessing has room to stay? Preparation often feels like loss before it feels like gain. God is also teaching you obedience in the unseen moments. When no one is watching. When there's no applause. When you're doing the right thing without immediate reward. these moments matter more than you realize. They shape integrity. They build trust between you and God. They prepare you to handle responsibility when it finally comes. And here's something you must understand deeply. God always finishes what He starts. If He allowed you into this process, He intends to complete it. You are not stuck. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. Your faith is being tested so it can become strong, steady, and mature, lacking nothing. So, don't rush this season. Don't resent the pressure. Don't compare your process to someone else's outcome. Your preparation is personal, because your calling is personal. And when the blessing finally arrives, you'll look back and realize something powerful. The way didn't delay your life. The process didn't waste your time. It prepared you for everything you prayed for. Stay faithful. Stay teachable. Stay patient. God is getting you ready. Here's the part most people never prepare for. After all the waiting, refining, and surrender, the blessing doesn't arrive how you imagine. And if you're not spiritually awake, you might stand face to face with it and not even recognize it. Now listen closely, because this is where many people miss it. They pray for the blessing, wait for the blessing, cry over the delay, and then when the blessing finally arrives, they don't even recognize it. I don't want that to be you. I want you to be ready, awake, and discerning when God moves in your life. Here's the truth I learned through experience. God's blessings don't always arrive how you imagined, but they always arrive how you need. I used to think a blessing would come with fireworks, instant clarity, and zero fear. But many times, God's blessing comes quietly. It comes as an opportunity that scares you. It comes as responsibility before comfort. It comes as a door that opens only after another one closes. If you're not spiritually aware, you'll mistake God's provision for inconvenience. This is why discernment matters. When you've waited on God, when you've been shaped in the process, your eyes change. You start seeing God's hand in subtle ways. You recognize peace where there used to be chaos. You notice alignment where there was once confusion. The blessing may not shout, but it carries a deep sense of rightness in your spirit. I remember a time when God answered a prayer I had waited years for, but it didn't feel like excitement at first. It felt heavy. It felt serious. It felt like responsibility. And for a moment, I wondered if I was ready. That's when I realized something powerful. Real blessings don't just make you happy. They make you accountable. When a blessing is truly from God, it brings peace, not panic. It brings clarity, not confusion. Even if it stretches you, it doesn't steal your rest. That's how you know it's Him. The blessing aligns with your values. It draws you closer to God, not further away. It doesn't corrupt your character. It confirms it. Gratitude flows naturally when you recognize the blessing as divine. You stop boasting. You stop comparing. You stop taking credit. You know deep down that this wasn't luck, and it definitely wasn't random. It was timed. It was prepared. It was protected. And understand this, when God opens a door at the appointed time, no one can shut it. No delay, no opposition, no opinion can cancel what God has ordained. That's why you don't need to force outcomes or compete with others. What's meant for you will reach you when you're ready to receive it. But you must stay humble when it arrives. Blessings are not trophies. They are tools. They're meant to be stewarded, not idolized. When you treat the blessing as the source instead of God, you lose the peace that came with it. So when God moves, pause. Reflect. Give thanks. Ask for wisdom. Don't rush past the moment. Recognize it. Honor it. And most importantly, stay close to God after the blessing, not just before it. Because the blessing is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a transformed life. Because once the blessing shows up, the real question isn't what God gives you. The real question is who you become after you receive it. And that answer will determine whether your life simply improves or is completely transformed. This is where everything comes together. Trusting God's timing doesn't just change your situation, it changes you. It reshapes how you think, how you react, how you live. And once the transformation happens, you never go back to the old version of yourself. When you truly trust God's timing, peace becomes your default state. Not because life is perfect, but because your heart is anchored. You stop panicking over delays. You stop spiraling over uncertainty. You know that even if you don't understand what God is doing, you trust who He is. Obedience becomes your lifestyle, not a backup plan. You no longer obey only when it's convenient or when the outcome is guaranteed. You obey because you've seen what happens when God leads. You've experienced His faithfulness firsthand. And obedience keeps you aligned with the blessings God releases. I've learned that blessings are sustained by obedience. What God gives in grace must be protected with discipline. A transformed life doesn't drift aimlessly, it walks intentionally. You begin making decisions that honor God, even when no one is watching. You choose growth over comfort. You choose faith over fear. And here's something powerful. When your life is transformed, it becomes a testimony without you saying a word. People notice the calm in you. They see the confidence. They sense the difference. Your patience speaks. Your consistency speaks. Your resilience speaks. And suddenly, your waiting season becomes someone else's encouragement. Continued faith keeps you aligned with God's purpose. You don't outgrow dependence on Him. You deepen it. You understand that waiting wasn't a one-time lesson. It's a lifelong posture. There will always be moments that require trust. There will always be seasons that test faith. But now, you know how to stand. You learn that God's love is steady, even in correction. His mercy is constant, even in discipline. He doesn't cast you aside when you stumble. He restores. He renews. He leads you forward. And this is the final truth I want you to hold on to. Walking in God's timing leads to abundance, not just materially, but spiritually. You gain clarity. You gain strength. You gain purpose. Life becomes rich with meaning, not rushed with anxiety. So stay patient. Stay obedient. Stay faithful. Your trust is not wasted. Your waiting is not pointless. Your transformation is already happening. And if you've made it this far, don't let this message stop here. Reflect on it. Pray over it. Let it shape how you move forward. And when you're ready, share your journey, because someone else is waiting just like you were. Take a moment, right now. Don't rush past this. You've listened, you've reflected, and something inside you knows this message wasn't just meant to be heard. It was meant to be answered. This is where understanding turns into surrender, and surrender turns into transformation. Wherever you are, breathe, center your heart, and pray this with me, not as a listener, but as a participant. God, Right now I quiet my mind and steady my heart before you. I acknowledge that you are here with me, closer than my next breath. I choose to be present in this moment, open, willing, and listening. I let go of distractions, worries, and noise, and I turn my attention fully to you. I believe you are speaking, shaping, and moving even now. Father, I declare with my own mouth that I trust your timing over mine. Even when I don't understand, I choose faith over fear. I say out loud that you are never late, never careless, never mistaken. Your plans for my life are good, intentional, and perfectly aligned. I place my future in your hands and rest in your wisdom today. Lord, I release every burden I've been carrying too long. I let go of frustration, impatience, and the need to control outcomes. I surrender timelines, expectations, and comparisons that weigh me down. I give you my waiting, my questions, and my weariness. I trust that what I release, you redeem. God, remind me of who I am in you. I am not forgotten, delayed, or overlooked. I am being prepared, strengthened, and refined. You are working in me, even when I cannot see results. I stand firm in my identity as yours, secure and chosen. Plant patience deep within my spirit, Lord. Teach me to wait without losing hope. Help me grow in the quiet seasons and mature in the hidden ones. Align my desires with your will and my pace with your purpose. Let this waiting season shape me, not shake me. And now, God, I receive your peace and your promise. I receive clarity where there was confusion, strength where there was weakness. I trust that the right doors will open at the right time. I step into alignment with your perfect plan for my life. I believe that as I trust your timing, the blessing will transform my life. Amen. After it, amen. Hear this with your spirit, not your ears. Don't move yet. There is a reason you're still here, and heaven is not finished speaking to you. What comes next may look simple, but it carries the power to multiply what God just planted in you. You didn't arrive at this message by accident. I believe God allowed you to hear this because you are part of the harvest tied to it. When you choose to support this work through super thanks, membership, or giving, you are sowing seed into ground that carries living water to thirsty souls. I hear the Father saying, as you release, I will release back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This is not about money. It is about oil flowing, light spreading, and fire being carried where darkness once lived. I feel this strongly. Your generosity right now is a divine appointment, not a coincidence. When you give, you help this word reach someone who is waiting in silence, someone who needs hope tonight. I bless your obedience in advance. May what you sow return as peace, protection, and perfectly timed breakthroughs in your own life. If your heart feels stirred, don't delay. Act now and support the mission God is breathing on. Now, if this message resonated with you, I want you to hype this video. Do it as an act of faith. When you hype it, you're telling the algorithm and heaven that God's timing deserves to be heard. You're helping this word reach others who are struggling to wait, just like you were. And yes, like the video too, but especially hype it, because this message is bigger than one moment. It's meant to move lives. Before you go, I want you to interact with this moment. In the comments, declare this with bold faith. I trust God's timing, and I am ready for the blessing. Let your words seal what God has started. And if you're carrying a specific prayer request, something you've been waiting on, write it down. We are standing with you, and we will pray over every request, believing that God's perfect timing will meet you right where you are. And finally, let me speak to your heart about this. If you want to wake up knowing someone is standing in faith with you, subscribe to this channel and stay under the sound of prayer. You are not late. You are not forgotten. And God's timing is working for you right now. Amen.